gas utilization, deepen clean energy utilization. So today, ladies and gentlemen, captains of industry, I welcome you to this very important discussion as we move a step closer to realizing the industrialization ambition of Nasarawa State. Gas is truly important, and Nasarawa State does not want to be out of it. Nasarawa State wants to lead this movement. Thank you and welcome.
Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome to day 2. So I join my voice to the voice of all the speakers that have gone ahead to say welcome to day 2 of the Nasarawa Investment Summit 2024. My name is Temi Badru, and it's such an honor to be co-hosting today with the amazing Mr. Yakubu Lamai. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to specially recognize everyone who is joining us virtually. Now, the beauty of technology is that you can connect to us from any part of the world. So from Nigeria, from Nasarawa, from Africa, or from beyond. We would like to say thank you for joining us today. I'd also like to welcome everyone who is in here, seated physically. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to acknowledge the presence of the study team of the Nigeria Institute of Public Relations, led by the National Vice President, Professor Emmanuel Dandara. Thank you so much for joining. Yes, it's okay to clap. Thank you. It's now time for the welcome address, and to lead this session, I'd like to invite to the stage Mr. Chijioke Uzoho, MD GSCN. A round of applause, ladies and gentlemen.
Your Excellency, the Executive Governor of Nasarawa State, Honorable Minister, the GCO NNPC Limited, the EVP Gas and Power Renewable Energies NNPC Limited, all other dignitaries, esteemed stakeholders, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, standing on all established protocols. Good morning once again, and I warmly welcome you to the Energy Business Roundtable, which is today a focus session in the second edition of the Nasarawa State Investment Summit 2024 with the theme Industrialization Renaissance. First, I would like to congratulate His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Nasarawa State, Engineer Abdullahi A. Sule, for consistently providing the support and enabling environment required to actualize the repositioning of Nasarawa State as an economic trailblazer. I also want to appreciate the amazing team of NASIDA, led by the MD Ibrahim Abdullahi, with whom we have together forged an uncommon partnership. We have remained consistent in following through on the actions and takeaway from both the Nasarawa Gas Business Roundtable in 2021 and the inaugural Business Summit in 2022, respectively. Consequently, in this session, we shall be engaging and showcasing some of the practical ongoing business development and industrial collaboration milestones. First is an MOU execution with NNPC Limited and NASIDA focused on development of critical secondary gas distribution infrastructure within Nasarawa State, the joint development of strategic gas-based industry park, and the joint establishment of a lithium processing plant. This will be followed by an overview of the successful partnership between NACIDA and Greenville, focusing on the development and the completion of Nasarawa State LCNG hub. This facility is poised to facilitate early gas supply access, accelerate the statewide adoption of mobility CNG for both industrial and transportation purposes. Following that will be an unveiling of the PICNG GACM facilitated mobility CNG conversion station in Nasarawa State. This is part of the PICNG Mobility CNG Nasarawa, National Rollout Blueprint Initiative for the adoption of natural gas as the preferred energy for transportation. Subsequently, there is the GACN NGML Power Gas NACIDA MOU execution for the development of a midstream CNG gas delivery infrastructure aimed at ensuring sustainable gas delivery to Nasarawa State. And lastly, the execution of the Nasarawa State the execution and launch of the Nasarawa State Gas Master Plan Development MOU between NACIDA, GACN, and Axila. The objective is to deliver a world-class gas development blueprint that allows for pragmatic implementation, especially in anticipation of soon-to-be-completed AKK pipeline. The strategic approach is poised to revolutionize the energy landscape in Nasarawa State and environs, paving the way for increased investment, job creation, and socio-economic development and prosperity. In conclusion, these projects reaffirm our collective commitment to industrial renaissance of Nasarawa State and GSM's firm resolve to deliver on its mandate for fostering and delivering practical value-adding energy solutions that are anchored on deliberate partnership and collaboration. Thank you, and I wish us all a wonderful deliberation.
Can we give him a rousing round of applause, please? Thank you very much. The day begins to unfold very briskly. We would like to say that capital goes where there is return on investment, and reputation leads you to where you believe you can actually get your return on investment. And that is why His Excellency Engineer Abdullahi A. Sule believes that, look, to govern means to communicate. We're communicating Nasarawa State. We're visibly making sure that Nasarawa State is not just your preferred investment destination, but also the most efficient investment destination, a new frontier for investment in this country. That is the vision of His Excellency Engineer Abdullahi A. Sule. So therefore, would like to thank the NIPR, Nigerian Institute of Public Relations. They have their study team from Lagos and Abuja that are here. Would like to thank you for closely studying and seeing what is happening in Nasarawa State so that you can communicate. I recognize Professor Emmanuel Landaura, General S.K. Usman, former Army spokesperson, Professor Oke Okechukwu, a lot of them that have been here with us since yesterday. We thank you for coming to Nasarawa State. At this point, it's my singular honor and privilege to call for special remarks, and we'll begin with the representative of Dangote Industries. Can we make welcome Hajia Fatima Wali Abdurrahman, Special Advisor to the Group President of Dangote Industries. Welcome back home. We have the largest sugar refinery in Africa, proudly located right here in Nasarawa State. Over 68,000 hectares of land. We welcome you, Hajia, and thank you so very much. Please, let's welcome her very well. Thank you. Thank you so very much. If you also want 68,000 hectares of land, you can get it. We can give you for something else. Perhaps not sugar, but you can, you know, Olam has something to do with rice, but would like to welcome her, and we'll recognize more as we get along. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. Your Excellency, Governor Abdullahi Sule, members of the Nasarawa State Legislature, Executive, and Judiciary, traditional rulers here present, distinguished guests from the organized private sector and the public sector, invited guests, and members of the press. So I bring greetings from Alhaji Aliko Dangote. He is out of the country, and just yesterday, day before, gave me marching orders to make sure I attend. So thank you very much for giving me the privilege, or giving him the privilege, to make some remarks. So I will read his speech. I'm very pleased to participate at the 2024 Nasarawa Investment Summit and thank the Nasarawa government for inviting me. The summit is indeed a testament to the leadership acumen of the current administration of His Excellency in stimulating the economy of the state and generally improving the lives of the citizens in a deliberate and intentional manner. I am honored to be invited. Nasarawa State is very close to my heart. Firstly, because His Excellency, the Governor, was and still is a part of the Dangote story. Secondly, because we happen to be the largest investor in this state. With over 60,000 hectares of land being used for the production of raw sugar by the Nasarawa Sugar Company Limited, a subsidiary of the Dangote Industry Limited, as part of the backward integration program of the federal government of Nigeria. The theme of this summit, Gas to Industry, building the background of sustainable industrialization in Nasarawa State, is apt and timely given the recent discovery of oil and gas reserves in Nasarawa and the role energy plays in the industrialization process in Nigeria. This puts the state in a very good position to capture the opportunities that exist in that space. This discovery will transform the trajectory of the industry in Nigeria, as well as increase the volume of the country's oil reserves from 37.1 billion barrels to 50 billion barrels. We at Dangote Group are happy that only last month, His Excellency Governor Abdullahi Sule issued marching orders to the newly inaugurated Advisory and Technical Committee on Oil and Gas in Nasarawa State, urging them to ensure the realization of the oil and gas potentials of this state. This is indeed the right step in the right direction, and the Governor deserves our commendation. Both the government and private sector have roles to play in providing the background for sustainable industrialization of Nasarawa State. Transition from oil discovery, exploration to commercialization is a tedious one that needs patience, focus, and tenacity. Furthermore, as the state is not close to existing gas infrastructure, there is indeed a need to explore how to commercialize the gas. My advice here will be to leave this to the free market instead of going for central planning. I believe the government will do well if it plays its regulatory functions and provides the enabling environment for the private sector to drive this, including granting the licenses to explore and develop the oil and gas fields. The best approach will be for the state to provide an enabling environment by building an industrial park, with all the required infrastructure, and then bring the gas. Businesses should then be incentivized to take advantage of this, in addition to the several existing incentives that currently abound in the state, thanks to the vision of His Excellency. We would encourage the Nasarawa State government to partner and maximize advantages derivable from the members of the organized private sector in Nigeria to make Nasarawa an oil and gas hub. During this infant stage, the private sector often leads the exploration and production efforts. These private companies will invest significant capital in seismic surveys, drilling operations, and extraction technologies to locate and extract oil and gas reserves. Similarly, the private sector can also invest in the infrastructure development to support Nasarawa's oil and gas activities. This includes building pipelines, storage facilities, and networks to transport crude oil and natural gas from production sites to market. By investing in infrastructure, private companies will facilitate the efficient flow of oil and gas resources contributing to the development of Nasarawa's energy sector. Furthermore, Nigeria is blessed with several sources of energy. This country is blessed with crude oil, natural gas, coal, sugar, and even huge heaps of rice husks, which can be converted into alternative energy. However, the opportunity to use gas as a source of energy leads to a cleaner environment. It produces less carbon dioxide than automotive gas, low poor fuel oil, and coal, among others. In the quest to solve the energy challenges, many manufacturers have resorted to alternatives, such as building captive power stations. These power stations depend on fuels like automatic gas oil, low poor fuel oil, and coal, but do not come cheap and eat into the revenue of companies. At Dangote Group, we have built captive power stations on all our plants, given the unstable supply of electricity from the national grid. These power plants run solely on gas and provide uninterrupted power supply to our factories. Our operations have been sustained at these plants because we have our own source of power. Furthermore, as part of our zero carbon objective, we have embraced the conversion of our fleet to CNG-powered trucks. Having successfully converted more than a third of our more than 15,000 trucks in an ongoing process at our local conversion/assembly plant in Ikorodu. On a final note, let me state that we are confident that this summit will support His Excellency's laudable dream of sustainable industrialization in Nasarawa and Nigeria. With this oil exploration coupled with other investments and the Dangote sugar production coming on stream, we can conclude that Nasarawa State will not only become an economic giant in Nigeria, but in the whole of Africa. I therefore want to, on behalf of the Dangote Group, heartily congratulate Governor Abdullahi Sile, his cabinet, and the people of Nasarawa State for this discovery and for this summit. Long live the people of Nasarawa State, and long live the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Can we give a rousing round of applause? Today is the 16th day of May in the year 2024. You have heard the prediction from Dangote Industries that Nasarawa State will sooner than later become an economic giant. Not in Nigeria, in Africa. We would like to thank Hajia Fatima for your very kind words. Thank you so very much. She's the special advisor to the group president of Dangote Group. And as you know, the Dangote Group are those who actually deal with the mechanics of planning and execution, so nothing really happens with them per chance. They're very meticulous in what they do. I'd like to let you know that Nasarawa State is a state of triple threat, triple advantage. They call our state, they call Nasarawa State the home of solid minerals. But then the future of Nasarawa State will be shaped not just by solid minerals, but also agriculture, because the state is a state of, is a food basket. And as we're discussing oil and gas, you know again that this would be very prominent in the future of Nasarawa State. We also have human resource and capital and people, a rich palette of talents, and the finest brains in the country. I'd like to recognize the presence of Dr. Faisal Shoaib, the SWAL Executive Secretary, CEO of the National Primary Healthcare Agency, a son of the soil. I would like to very, very specially recognize the presence of our first indigenous Vice Chancellor of the Nasarawa State University, Professor Saadatu Hassan Liman. Would also like to let you know that not only do we empower our ladies here, we hold them aloft and make sure that the women of Nasarawa State wave the banner of brilliance. We also have a head, you know, thank you. I should say more about ladies actually, because this kind of applause is, well, Nasarawa State also has a head of service. That's a lady, a very beautiful lady, she's there. She is Barrister Abigail Wire. You know, at the time when other states were trying very hard to catch up with Nasarawa State, we even gave the first secretary to the government of Nasarawa State then, Dr. Zainab. But right now, we have Barrister Aliu Banduma, who is he's the secretary to the government. I'd like to recognize all of you and like to tell you that, please, come to Nasarawa State, make a life, plant your business, make a living. Forget all these other states. We are no longer among the top 3 competitive states. This is the best state for you to actually settle, grow your family and grow your business. I've finished my marketing. Can we give me a round of applause? Thank you very much. I'd now like to call on Moses Duku, Greenville. Yes. And this is evidence of what is happening in Nasarawa State. Greenville's success story. Would like to call Moses Duku to tell you how Nasarawa State government, under the stewardship of Engineer Abdullahi A. Sule, have brought oil and gas, and it's already thriving. His business, he'll tell you how it's located right here in Lafayette. So much more can actually be happening with your business.
Your Excellency, the Executive Governor of Nasarawa State, Engineer Abdullahi Sule, members of the National Assembly present, members of the Nasarawa State House of Assembly present, the Deputy Speaker, our highly distinguished and respected traditional rulers, our fathers, captains of industry, the MD of NASIDA, my friend Abdullahi, my professional colleague, and I want to take the opportunity to acknowledge the team, the study team of the NIPR. These are my elders and leaders. I'm a fellow of the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations, and Professor Dandara is the chairman of the Education Advisory Board. And I tell you, for us to qualify and be inducted as fellows, he grilled us like a grinding machine. And he's the son of the soil. Thank you, sir, for being here. Thank you. Members of the press, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellency, I bring the goodwill message of Edivard Dembroeke, my chairman, who wanted to be here and insisted that because he couldn't be here, he's a little bit indisposed, that I have to be here. We've been here since yesterday and we are continuing. It's our delight that we're here. Thank you, sir. I'm honored to address you today on behalf of Greenville LNG on the occasion of the Nasarawa State Investment Summit 2024, and with particular regard to our liquefied and compressed natural gas project. Greenville LNG represents the culmination of years of transformative efforts within the oil and gas sector, commencing with our establishment in 2013. Having said that, we are an oil and gas company. I think it's significant for me to mention or restate, it has been said before, that Nasarawa State is now an oil and gas state in Nigeria, and we know what that means. Thank you. It's very good to clap. Thank you. Since our inception, Greenville LNG has been at the forefront of innovation, reshaping the landscape of energy accessibility in Nigeria, notably our installation of 3 gas liquefaction trains at our Rumuji plant in Rivers State. We are also onto the 4th train right now to produce more LNG and CNG for the country, particularly for the areas without pipelines. Your Excellency, in 2019, we introduced a revolutionary approach to the virtual gas pipeline when we purchased the first set of 500 LNG-powered trucks and brought into Nigeria. And we are bringing more. Now we have LNG-powered trucks that can run 1,200 to 1,800 kilometers at a stretch without the need to refuel. And a very interesting part is that our LNG trucks, one will carry the equivalent of 6 CNG trucks. And then when we get to base, like here, to that, we regasify, because it's compressed. We regasify and we put out. But I'll tell you something more interesting, technologically speaking. When we go to our plant in Rumuji and we load LNG from the natural gas is different from the LNG and the CNG. When we load the equivalents into those 6 trucks, 600 trucks of natural gas. That's what the engineers tell me. Now, we take 6 trucks of LNG to the north. We take 6 trucks of LNG to the north, and we regasify and put as CNG. The benefit is that we save our roads, the pressure and the volumes. We save the roads, and our roads will last a whole lot longer. So that brings me to our presence in Lafia, Nasarawa State. Okay. We now have the first of its kind LNG CNG station here in Lafia. We are commissioning it. In a matter of weeks, if not within a week. That tells you the importance we place on our strategic business development concerning Nasarawa State. Your Excellency, I have the word of my chairman to tell you that Greenville LNG is here to stay. He thanks you very much for providing the land for us to do our station here. And he says the future energy of Nigeria and Nasarawa is with the Greenville initiative. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Greenville Liquefied Natural Gas LNG Limited pioneered the production and distribution of liquefied natural gas for domestic use within Nigeria, using an innovative virtual pipeline system for supply of gas to all the 6 geopolitical zones in the country. Greenville LNG is a one-stop solution providing LNG as fuel for industry's transportation and gas to power, simply enabling access to reliable energy for the future. We at Greenville LNG are the pioneers and the only player in the market with the requisite infrastructure to produce LCNG in the domestic market for auto, power, and industrial use. Greenville LNG aims to develop 25 hubs for the distribution of CNG to the fuel stations across Nigeria. Gas hubs are essential to facilitate usage of LCNG in the face of non-availability of pipeline infrastructure in the gas-starved central and northern Nigeria. Through Greenville Virtual Pipeline System, LNG will be transported to these hubs located at strategic locations where it will be converted to CNG for further distribution to CNG daughter stations. Each LNG hub will cater to CNG retail demand of 30 daughter CNG stations in a geographical radius of 200 kilometers, with each station retaining approximately 5 to 20 tons of CNG per day. A typical gas hub will comprise of the following facilities. 1. An LNG storage facility. Number 2, CNG for bulk loading in cascades. Number 3, LNG bulk loading points for SMEs. Number 4, a warehouse that will be used for the conversion of trucks as well as kekes. Number 5, power plant. Number 6, administrative block. hubs will act as a multi-product microeconomic center for that region. It will have LNG storage tanks, along with a regasification system. Compression facility will convert gas into compressed form. At approximately 200 to 250 bar, the LCNG will be filled into the mobile cascades for bulk distribution to CNG stations. These gas hubs will also provide access to LNG for all SMEs and large industries in the region, leading to speedy industrialization and development of the remote areas away from gas pipeline. LNG and CNG can serve as substitutes for PMS and gas oil consumption by 15 to 20%. These hubs can be found in various locations such as Rumuji, Kaduna, Shagamu, Gombe, Calabar, Nasarawa, Kebbi, Sokoto, Owerri, Enugu, Abakaliki, Asaba, Benin, Lokoja, Ilorin, Makurdi, Abuja, Mina, Jos, Maiduguri, Akure, Ibadan, and Katsina, etc. One Greenville LNG truck has the capacity to carry LNG equivalent to 6 CNG trucks in terms of pressure and volume. The development of these hubs will establish centralized locations for efficient and effective distributions, which will contribute to the reduction of traffic congestion by decreasing the number of tanker trucks on the road, leading to a decrease in accidents and other safety hazards associated with gas transportation. This will additionally reduce the cost of transporting gas in a cost-effective manner by promoting economic growth and development. With these gas hubs, the government will be able to save billions of dollars in foreign exchange, while at the same time making the price of the fuel more competitive. In addition, the development of these hubs will necessitate the much desired energy security for the nation with alternative transportation fuel of low carbon emission. This development is in sync with the strategy of the new government to promote and expand CNG network across the length and breadth of Nigeria, considering that CNG is safer, efficient, economical, and most importantly, eco-friendly. These, besides many other benefits CNG has over conventional fuel. LNG produces 40% less carbon dioxide than coal and 30% less than oil, which makes it the cleanest of the fossil fuel. In line with the FGN's policy on CO2 emission reduction, as contained in the Agreement on Climate Goals approved by the United Nations, the use of LNG and CNG is a key driver in promoting an eco-friendly environment and achieving the nation's climate goals. Following the Paris Agreement on reducing GHG/CO2 emission and the Doha Amendment of Kyoto Protocol to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate, UNFCCC, which Nigeria is a signatory to, the use of LNG and CNG is a major factor in propagating an eco-friendly environment. The distribution of CNG through these gas hubs will provide a more economical alternative to the use of conventional fuel by an estimated 2 million keke napep riders across Nigeria, thus strengthening and increasing their economic power, that of their families and dependents. In addition, this will immensely help in cushioning the impact on the public at large necessitated by the reversal of fuel subsidy. It will as well help end the search for a more affordable fuel by keke napep, light commercial vehicles, and passenger vehicle owners, thereby rapidly improving the socio-economic growth of the nation. Industry players, manufacturers in Nigeria in general, can now give a sigh of relief, as the key to cleaner and more economical energy is here with us. Greenville LNG, reliable energy for the future.
Thank you. Now, speaking about goodwill messages, we'd like to take a goodwill message from a representative of Ganfeng Lithium Industry Limited. Please welcome Cheng Cheng.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. First of all, it's my honor to speak on behalf of Director Mr. Chen Qiang of Ganfeng Lithium Industry Limited. I'm Henry, the project manager of the beneficiation factory, which is under construction as scheduled in Nasarawa local government area. On behalf of Ganfeng Lithium Industry Limited and Director Mr. Chen Qiang himself, I want to extend my most sincere gratitude to Tianjin government for their support to the mining industry, as well as our full and strong support to His Excellency the Governor, to the Nasarawa state government for successfully organizing this imposing and magnificent investment promotion event. And full support and help rendered to Ganfeng Lithium Industry Limited by them. Our company is making big investment in the construction of a gigantic and magnificent factory with an annual processing capacity of 2 million cubic tons of raw materials and a large thermal power plant in Nasarawa local government. After the beneficiation factory is completed and put into operation in the second half of this year, 2024, 2,000 local people will be employed and the tax revenue will be increased for both the federal government and the local government as well. We will actively publicize and promote the preferential policies of the state government to attract more high quality and influential foreign investors for Nasarawa state, and we will organize skill training for local employees. We will also actively fulfill our corporate social responsibilities for our host community and exclusively support the mining industry and agricultural industry as well. The company will help to build a school and a hospital for Nasarawa local government within the next 2 years, and we will empower the development of local host community and make our due contribution to improving the livelihood and the living standard of the local people of the host community. Once again, I want to extend my most heartfelt and sincere appreciations to His Excellency Governor and his team for tremendous support and help rendered to the company Ganfeng Lithium Industry Limited. By them, I also hope to continue to get support and help from different departments of Nasarawa State as well as always. And for sure, we promise as a company, we will try our best and spare no efforts to cooperate with the Nasarawa state government in all aspects. Finally, thank you so much. Finally, it is our sincere hope that our company will deeply take root in the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and we will continue to grow and progress together with the local people and the local community as well, and make our due contribution for the development and the prosperity of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. It is my sincere hope that the relationship between Federal Republic of Nigeria and the Republic of China will become better and better and yield fruitful and tangible profits and results. I sincerely hope that the investment promotion event will be a complete success. May God bless us, bless Nigeria's Republic of Nigeria, bless the Nasarawa state, bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria as well. Thank you so much for your attention. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chen Qiang. Thank you so much for the goodwill message. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it's now time for the Energy Business Roundtable. Now let me quickly mention, this is such an important segment, an important panel discussion, so important that on this session, We have representatives from different spaces, so the different stakeholders are represented. We have the private sector being represented on this discussion. We have the public sector being represented by the #1 person in this state, in Nasarawa State. I'm talking about the governor of Nasarawa State. And it might interest you, Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, to know that His Excellency, the governor of Nasarawa State, His Excellency Engineer Abdullahi A. Sule, has over 30 years of experience in oil and gas, spanning different continents. As a matter of fact, His Excellency was a one-time Managing Director of African Petroleum. So I'm particularly excited to hear his perspective on this discussion. Also on this discussion, we have development finance institutions represented. So truly, this is going to be a rich discourse. So I'd like to invite you, Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, to be generous with your applause as I welcome to the stage the speakers on this segment, because they've graciously accepted our invitation to share their thoughts and perspective. So, if you're in support of applauding them generously, please say aye. If you're not in support, say nay. The ayes have it. So we're going to applaud them generously. Ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellency, I'll begin by welcoming to the stage the chair of this session. Please welcome a partner at Olaniwu Ajayi LP, Ibi Ogumbiyi. A round of applause. Also on this segment, on this discussion, we're truly honored to have His Excellency, the Governor of Nasarawa State. Please welcome Engineer Abdullahi A. Sule. You're welcome, Your Excellency. So His Excellency is wearing different hats on this discussion, and we look forward to him sharing his perspectives. We also have on this discussion the Vice Chairman, Power Gas Group. Please welcome Pulak Sen. Just to remind you that we agreed that we'll be generous with our applause, so it continues to get louder. Thank you. We also have on this discussion the CEO, Itana Abiola Lawal. A round of applause. Also, on this panel, we have Engineer Farouk Ahmed, Authority of Chief Executive, NMDPRA. He's represented by Dr. Mustafa Lamad, ED, HSCC, NMDPRA. A round of applause. And we also have on this panel, Eric Moncho Intong, Regional COO and Head of Mission for Anglophone West Africa at Afrexim Bank. He's represented by Mr. Peter Adeshola Olowononi, Head Client Relations, Anglophone West Africa at Afrexim Bank. I now hand over to the panel chair.
Thank you very much, and good morning, everyone. It is my honor and privilege to be here today. I will stand on existing protocols as I welcome all dignitaries and VIPs to this occasion. On this morning, I have as my eminent panelists, very, very dignified and esteemed panelists indeed. And to get our conversation going, I would just like to provide some context to what we're talking about. Our panel is titled Gas to Industry, Powering the Nasarawa Industrialization Agenda. And I just wanted to provide with a few slides, if they can just put up the slides very, very quickly, just context for our discussion this morning. I don't know if the slides are up. Okay, not yet. Okay, as you're waiting for the slides to go up, the key thing to note is that Nasarawa is the beneficiary of a number of events and developments that have brought us to a place where gas development is critical, both internationally and locally. And there are a number of global and local trends that have resulted in those developments. The first thing to note is that globally, there's an increased demand for more sustainable and environmentally friendly sources of energy. And that because of the damage to, the clamor for climate change and the importance of ensuring that we have a planet that is available to service generations to come, this clamor has increased globally. Also on the global stage, you also have a situation where disruptions in the gas supply value chain have also led to states rethinking their gas supply, their energy mixes, and the way they look at their energy supply. And that has brought gas into the forefront. On the local plane, here in Nigeria, given the Energy Transition Plan, which states the 30-year trajectory for how Nigeria transits to a net zero emission scenario, you have gas being at the front and center of our transition plan and has been identified as the transition fuel. And in that sense, it means that we're moving from the more fossilized forms of fuel into more cleaner and sustainable forms of energy. And gas has been seen as the compromise in transiting to a more sustainable form of energy. And towards that, gas has been identified as being relevant for industry, for cooking, and for power, right? Also on the local plane, another of the developments that are quite instrumental to our discussion today is the fact that the Electricity Act was recently passed, and part of the Electricity Act is that states would have control over the generation, distribution, and transmission of electricity. So it has been decentralized, and states now can have active and front and center involvement in how power is generated, distributed, and transmitted. And that also provides a platform for which gas can be utilized, like I mentioned, from the Energy Transition Plan as a fodder for gas to power projects. Lastly, also on the local scale, on the federal government level, we have seen a lot of focus and commitment and consistency from the federal government in passing a lot of policies, initiatives, and regulations towards incentivizing investments in gas infrastructure development. And so you have the NMDPRA has passed a slew of regulations from last year. You also have the passage of the petroleum, the PIA, which has also put gas development as its core focus and to incentivize investments in gas development. So those are some of the local and international trends that are very relevant to our discussions today. So very quickly, let's move to opportunities for gas projects in Nasarawa. What does all this mean in Nasarawa State? Recently, it has been mentioned, there's been discovery of oil and gas reserves in Nasarawa, which shows you that there's potential for associated gas, right? There's the development of the AKK pipeline, which will move from Ajaokuta through Kaduna to Kano, and will move through Abuja as well, proximal to Nasarawa. And then the key question will be, how does that translate into the development of gas projects in Nasarawa, which we will discuss on this panel as well. Now, given the decentralization option, Nasarawa has the opportunity to also create its own electricity market, and therefore direct policy towards gas to power IPPs within the state. There's also the opportunity to have gas to industry projects for the development of petrochemicals, fertilizer projects. There's also the opportunity to have, CNG projects like we saw earlier. So all these are quite instrumental. Now, what are the challenges? The opportunities are not without challenges, and my panelists, I will discuss with them some of these challenges: access to finance, lack of pipeline infrastructure, the difficulty with getting the right bankable contracts, and so on and so forth, and we'll discuss that. So in terms of what the real opportunities are, for Nasarawa State, my thinking is that, we can have gas industrial parks, gas hubs. We already see Greenville being active in Nasarawa State. We can also have gas to power projects, gas IPPs, and CNG projects and all the like. So there's quite a lot of potential here. So very quickly, I'm going to move to His Excellency. And His Excellency, thank you very much for joining this panel. I would like you to share your vision with the whole. For, we have the National Industrialization Agenda. What is your vision for gas? What is the state prepared to do to incentivize private sector participation and investment in the gas sector in Nasarawa? Bearing in mind what Alhaji Dangote said in his remarks, that the most ideal structure is for government to sit back, let private capital come in and do what it knows how to do best, while the state just creates an enabling framework and environment. Your Excellency, sir.
Thank you very much, Chairperson of this panel. That's the disadvantage of having a very experienced chairman. The chairman has already answered all the questions we are going to ask. So I don't know if we have any more to say, but thank you very much, Chairperson. You have actually identified most of the issues. Number one is the fact that we need to understand that Nigeria is indeed a gas country rather than even an oil country, because Nigeria is one country that has over 200 trillion standard cubic feet of gas as a reserve, only 40 billion barrels of oil. So now for us in Nasarawa State coming home, the discovery of oil that we just had, the drilling operation actually started in March last year, and they are still carrying out the drilling. Part of the challenges they are facing is that they came across gas too early, and I think NMPC is the right people who are even going to mention this. I just had their helicopter now arriving, so they are the right people to say that. But by having that kind of gas challenge, it now exposes Nasarawa to the advantage and the disadvantage. The disadvantage on the part of the oil drilling company is that they hit gas too early, and it makes it a little difficult for them for their drilling operation. For us as a state, it's an advantage that it means that we have abundance of gas here in Nasarawa State, which is a good thing for us and a good thing for Nigeria. Now, going back to the challenges that you mentioned, now, why was it that some 20 years ago, maybe 15 to 20 years ago, nearly 75% of the gas produced as a result of the associated gas that we have was actually flared, was thrown away, was just taken and wasted. But today, because with the LNG, all the other, the Greenville of the world, and all the other presenters, we can see that we are using majority of the gas, and we are exporting gas, and we have several trains now for our LNG lines. So when you mention the challenge, I think the biggest challenge is the usage. So we need to do a lot of education of our people to understand the utilization of gas, to know that gas is even better than oil, and gas is cheaper than oil, and gas is more friendly to the environment than oil. I think once people agree to buy that, then we have crossed the first stage. Then we have to go into the several other stages that you are mentioning. The issue of the funding will always come if there is opportunity. Talking about opportunity, let me in fact use this opportunity to announce it. We have been very transparent in Nasarawa State as far as whatever we do. When the team came together to say they were going to plan this event, the budget for it was roughly about 150 million naira. Now, they raised about 150 million on their own from the various sponsors, and let me thank the sponsors for that. So Nasarawa State government only put forward 35 million. Now, just a few minutes ago, you saw the Chinese investors, the Govt that came to see us. When they came, they told me that they had not yet given their own sponsorship, and they want to give their own sponsorship. So I was asking them in Chinese, for some of you who don't understand Chinese, I was asking them and I said, so how much do you want to give? So the gentlemen are seated right there. They told me that we want to give 100 million for this particular purpose. So when they told me that, they said, go ahead, and I told them that we only need 35 million to make it up because they already have 115. They said, no, they want to still give 100 million. So I said, okay, Ibrahim can take his 35 million, and the remaining 65 million will be handed over back to the government. That means the Nasarawa state government has actually benefited and made profit, from having this particular event. And I think that's the way it's supposed to be. So I think that's the direction that we are going. So as a people, we try as much as possible, to carry on. I do understand the NMPC had a lot of challenges with the weather, but we thank God finally they are here. As I was telling you that they were having, I had the helicopter. When I had the helicopter, I know that they are now here now. So I thank you for giving me the opportunity. I think we will talk some more, when we get to the real subject. But yes, there are challenges, but the biggest challenge, as we know, is actually, like it's mentioned, the lines themselves, the pipelines. These pipelines are dedicated. So for us in Nasarawa, even if we want to use the gas, the AKK line does not go through Nasarawa. So the closest we can tap, which we have agreed to tap, is actually to tap it from Abaji, and that's the direction that we are going. So that's why I say once you know where you are going, then you know. And we don't have majority of the industries here in Nasarawa State. We are just developing the industries. Once these industries come on shape, you will hear that. You heard what Dangote said earlier. Dangote said today he's generating his power in all his plants 100% by gas, and locally, Obajana, which is the biggest cement plant in the country and perhaps in Africa, is sitting right very close to the AKK line because of the Ajakuta steel plant. So that's why it was very easy for us in Obajana to draw the line. Because I had Ajia when she was reading Alaji's speech. Alaji was mentioning that I was part of the Dangote group. I'm still part of the Dangote group. So for that reason, when I'm talking, I will say we. So I will say we there. When I come to Nasarawa, then I can say we in Nasarawa. So thank you for giving me the opportunity, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Thank you. And your response dovetails very nicely into the question I wanted to ask the next panelist, Engineer Ahmed of the MDPRA. So we have the AKK pipeline. It's close to Nasarawa, but not quite close enough. Engineer Ahmed, I'd like to understand, how do you see a pipeline connection between the AKK pipeline coming into Nasarawa, and then what are your views around the existing regulations we have now for gas pipeline development, and do you think they're adequate for any development in that area in relation to the AKK pipeline and bringing it into Nasarawa?
Thank you, Chair. Your Excellency, sir, sitting rather on existing protocol. I would first of all like to put some things into perspective. The Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority is the agency that regulates both technical, commercial, and operational activities within the midstream and downstream value chain. We do that, we are empowered and mandated by the PIA. We've gazetted, as you said, a number of regulations. We've gazetted 16 regulations, and we're still, working on a number of regulations. The pipeline regulation is one of them. And we're talking about gas today. 5 of those regulations gazetted are gas-based. But I just want to also put the value chain into context, and in that respect, I'll be also answering your question. So we work with our sister regulator, which is the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, to get the domestic gas demand obligation. So if you move through the value chain within the midstream, we process the gas. You have to process the gas, and in processing the gas, you have to get the gas processing license. Once the gas is processed, you also have to transport the gas, whether through pipelines or virtually, like the Greenville is doing. If you are doing it through pipeline, you need the gas transportation pipeline license. The GCN is here. You need the gas aggregator license to. And for the PIA has encouraged open access. You also need for the network court. But on the commercial aspect, you now need the gas wholesale supply license. So once this gas moves through the value chain, and within the value chain, you can supply this gas to IPPs, eventually GBIs, gas-based industries. and also mini LNGs where you also need a retail outlet. But once we get this to the city gate, like what the AKK will offer to us, there will be custody transfer. And now you are within the distribution space, and you also need the gas distribution license. To do that, to go into the retail stage, you need to have adequate retail infrastructure system, like your LPG bottling system, the CNG compression, LPG regasification, and all that. So there are a number of processes in terms of licenses that you need to do to get that, in terms of you need your LTE, your license to establish, license to construct, and then license to operate. The authority is always there. Everything is computerized. We have the automated gas system where you can be able to apply for this. And His Excellency has already mentioned that the closest station when it comes to tapping into the AKK is the Abaji station. There's also another one in Kogi State. I think it's called Osenseni. These are two clear for Nasarawa State, to tap into it. But then you need pipeline, to construct. It comes to now we're talking about infrastructure, and one of the key challenges we have in the gas sector is there's a huge wide gap when it comes to infrastructural development. So we need to bridge that. In the authority, the NMDPRA, we have a directorate called the Midstream and Downstream Gas Infrastructure Fund. Is there to de-risk and co-invest. So Nasarawa State, as a state, they are welcome, to partner with the MDGIF and access the fund. You'll be able to we'll provide the license and we'll facilitate the license for the pipeline and other key, both distribution, licensing regime and retailing infrastructure. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Engineer Ahmed. Thank you. And your response has outlined the gas value chain and the different pressure points and different licenses that needs to be done in order to get gas to the last mile. And I think the recurrent theme is that funding is required. This is extremely capital intensive for gas to be explored, for gas to be evacuated, for it to be processed, for it to be distributed and transported. All along the gas value chain, significant capital is required. Which takes me to my next panelist from Afrexim, Mr. Peter. Apologies, I missed your surname. Yes, so you are at the heart of the industrialization, the realization of that agenda for Nasarawa State, DFIs like your good selves. And the concern is that in more recent times, a lot of DFIs have taken the stance that they will no longer be funding oil and gas projects because of their effects on climate and climate change. So it would be useful to know what is Afrexim's position and in terms of financing, gas projects in Nasarawa State or anywhere in Nigeria, as it were. Thank you. The mic isn't on yet. Yes.
Okay. Your Excellency, good morning, sir. I bring you greetings from the President of the African Export-Import Bank, Professor Benedict Rama. And Chair, to answer your question directly, Afrexim Bank, as some may know, was created as a child of necessity. During the financial crisis in the 80s, the African Ministers of Finance came together under the leadership of the then President of the African Development Bank to create Afrexim Bank as a bank to intervene. So the bank was created to bridge the gap in financing. And so for us as an institution, we are actually called to task when other financial institutions are pulling out. In our assessments, Africa's energy need is so huge that Afrexim Bank cannot pull back in mining, exploiting, and monetizing the huge hydrocarbon reserves that God has endowed the continent with. And that is why, more than ever before, you would have seen that the bank's presence in the energy landscape and the interventions that we have been doing lately has actually tripled. We're in Indorama, we're the single largest lender on the Dangote refinery. We're in financing almost all the upstream operators in Nigeria. NNPC is one of our biggest partners in the country. So we believe that Africa must monetize its energy resources to bridge the energy gap. And until that deficit is closed, that is when we can begin to talk about energy transition. We believe in energy transition, but we say it has to be done in an equitable and just manner. When the AKK pipeline, for example, we are financing alongside Fidelity Bank, financing the main contractor, one of the main contractors, Oilserv, who has been, so we finance the import of those pipes, which are then welded and tied together to continue to lay the pipes. So in every respect, that the financing gap for that project is huge. And so what we are doing is to find partners who believe in Africa's energy prosperity, more importantly in Africa's energy security, because until we have our own control around our energy, we cannot develop. Our industries cannot come through, as His Excellency have said. This state is blessed with mining resources, is blessed with agricultural resources, but until the requisite industries come in, and these industries will need power, and the future of power has to be gas-driven, right? So we see that until that gap is bridged, Afreximbank cannot pull back. So it's a clear statement of fact for us that we are not only going to finance the midstream and downstream infrastructure, because by the time the demand surges for gas consumption, then there may be a problem on the upstream with actual gas production, which we are seeing already, right? Like Train 7, the conversations are going on, there has to be a boost in gas supply. So we have to even go upstream to look at the marginal field which have just bid round has been completed, the operators, the indigenous operators, to ensure that they can drill non-associated gas wells that are dedicated to boost gas supply, so that the pressure, the feedstock that is required to feed the pipeline is in place. And we're working with good partners like the Korean Exim, the China Exim, who are joining together with us, providing us with liquidity and support to continue to bridge that gap. But in essence, that is Afreximbank's stand today.
Excellent, thank you. That is most reassuring. Most reassuring. It's a very pragmatic and real view of the infrastructure and industrialization deficit on the continent, and the need to continue to support those projects until a time comes when we can seriously begin to look at energy transition. Thank you very much. So I come now to the private sector, those who are on the field, who are daily risking capital, to fund these projects. And I will turn to the MD of Eterna, on the panel, and ask you, maybe you should just tell us how has it been so far? You're an oil and gas conglomerate, to put it mildly, and you have been investing in oil and gas projects. What would it take? What are those incentives that would make you bring your capital into Nasarawa if a gas development framework was put in place? What are those things that you need to see? What are those challenges that need to be overcome to incentivize your investment in gas in Nasarawa State?
Thank you. Thank you very much. Let me start by congratulating the Executive Governor of Nasarawa State, Engineer Sule, and his team for putting together a wonderful summit so far. So I think we should put a round of applause for them. Thank you. You've been a good host. To answer your question directly, again, I should say, before I go to details of the answer, I also bring goodwill from the chairman of our company, the board, and certainly all our employees. Eterna has been in business for over 35 years. We have investments all over the Northeast and North Central as well. We have stations and investment on the ground in Nasarawa. In fact, when you come out of the State House, I'm sure you'll notice a major petrol station that is selling payments and all the other products all the time. So at Eterna, we say energy for life. And so we relate and look forward to partnering with Nasarawa as a state. to go back to your question directly, I see there are 3 critical success factors that's required to be successful in this energy transition or energy to industrialization, as you mentioned. And I put it within the context of all investors. I know sometimes we focus on the foreign investors, but investors are generally the same in terms of rationality. It's about return on investment and making sure the environment is right. So 3 things that I will mention is critical for success in this journey. Number 1, leadership. And when I say leadership, I mean effective leadership. There's a saying that vision plus action provides success and results. But vision minus action is just a dream. One of the things that I'm extremely proud and encouraged to associate with Nasarawa under the leadership of Governor Sule is that it's a pro-business governor. That is critical and very important. Not only him, the team he has put together is clearly showing us that Nasarawa is open for business. Like I said, you can have all the vision in the world, but it takes real action within a few years to situate the largest lithium factory in Africa within a matter of few years, and want to play in that value chain. So I think, so that is it. That leadership and that consistency is the most important driver for us in terms of seeing results. The second one is the policy environment. What kind of policies are being made? Of course, there's a derivative of number 2, which starts from the leadership again, right? The infrastructure of governance, from the legislature to the enabling environment of laws, task fiscal regime. There has to be clarity to investors so that when we bring our investment in, there will not be policy somersault, which is why it's also critical for any subnational, even the national level, that this kind of critical transition and investment is actually embedded in the law. And I like what the governor is doing in that regard. Number 3, and I think this is one that everybody knows is a critical deficit, not just in Nasarawa, but across Nigeria and many parts of Africa, which is infrastructure. Infrastructure across the board. And I will actually start infrastructure not from physical, but in terms of security architecture. Businesses cannot thrive where they are scared about the safety of their employees. So we have to ensure that the right security environment is in place. And it's glad to know that Nasarawa has done a good job there. The second infrastructure is what we all relate to, power. I think the speaker from Afro-Exim had mentioned something along that line. Power has to be front and critical in terms of how we put enabling environment together. When we say enabling environment, when you go to most of the other climes, people come in and put their infrastructure, their industries and investment in place. Why? Because they take power for granted. And I think as we move forward on this journey, we have to understand power is a critical infrastructure. The third part of infrastructure that I also think is important is the whole connectivity. The world is a global place today. And I think it's important for us to use technology to achieve a lot. I think, again, it can, by the kind of interaction we've seen in this summit so far, you will see there are people from all over Nigeria as well as all over the world. That means Nasarawa is doing something well in terms of the need to put the right data, the right information in the hands of investors. Investors need information. Big data is king. We're talking about artificial intelligence and all of that. Artificial intelligence doesn't work without the right data that we can use to evaluate and look at our investment over a long time period. So overall, I will commend the governor. I think it's the right part, and look forward to more engagement with Nasarawa. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Lawal. I think you've hit the nail on the head about those incentives and imperatives that the private sector requires. And you've touched on a number of things that I'm going to come back to His Excellency on. Well, one important thing, which takes me to Mr. Pulaksen of Power Gas. Mr. Lawal has mentioned the criticality of power to any industrialization process. Power is the heart. Power is what you need to galvanize industrialization. And I know that your company, Power Gas, has been doing quite a bit in doing gas-to-power projects with CNG projects. I think you have about 5 IPPs right now being powered by CNG, or maybe more. So I want you to speak about that, the potential for having gas-to-power, given the criticality of power to industrialization, and what opportunities do you see for yourselves and companies like yours in Nasarawa in the industrialization agenda?
Is it on? Your Excellencies, Madam Chair, and esteemed guests, good morning from Power Gas. So I would say two minutes or a minute about Power Gas, and then address why even Power Gas is here and what we are looking forward to. So we are actually a virtual gas company supplying gas, whether in 2 plants, again captive power plants and factories for their power process, and of recent with the federal government initiatives in the NGV sector. We started way back 11 years, started with a small plant. We take small steps, but we deliver. And now we have grown and we are present in 5 different states. We have got plants located even in areas where it's a gas well itself, and we have participated at the plant, at the site, apart from pipeline gas, etc. So we are basically in the downstream and midstream. We have grown into a fairly large CNG company in Nigeria with over 200 tube skids, which deliver across Nigeria, mostly in the south and the east. But with some initiatives from the federal government, from GSEN, from NNPC, we have now expanded our footprint and our strategy for gas to the north. Typically, CNG investment is smaller, a shorter gestation. It takes turnaround. We do normally within 6-7 months a CNG plant. But as earlier mentioned on the massive pipeline infrastructure investment in terms of their planning, execution, and actual reality of happening, we are there as a catalyst in the meantime to start supplying the gas. So we in Nasarawa state are looking forward to an enabling environment where for smaller, medium, or even an industrial park, if we can make CNG available. Luckily for us, that in the decade of gas, the federal government has some initiatives, including the feedstock gas price, which make it sort of affordable or commercially viable for us to be even from Abuja and Nasarawa area. So we look forward to that. And anything that I didn't address?
Yes, what are your plans? Do you have any plans in
our vision currently is gas to the north. Vision currently is an enabling environment. We take small steps, but we deliver. And our turnaround normally 6 to 9 months. And we address smaller clients. You know, a large LNG plant or a setup which require more investment need not be for a CNG setup. Having said that, the demand for gas in Nigeria is so huge, there is room for all, and every one of us to join hands to supply the gas demand to the client. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Shen. Thank you. So there you have it. The regulator is ready to support with the issuance of licenses and all the regulatory support required, and they've even offered funding. Afrexim has reiterated its commitment to funding viable gas projects despite the clamor for climate change. We also have people in the private sector saying that they are also ready to invest in the Nasarawa industrialization agenda as long as there's an enabling environment. So, Your Excellency, in rounding up, I come back to you to ask you, sir, what specifically should investors be looking to in Nasarawa State? Because they've both mentioned fiscal incentives, stability in regulation, although, to be fair, a significant portion of oil and gas regulation is done at the federal level. But it'd be good to know at the state level what Nasarawa State is ready to do to create that enabling environment. Thank you, Your Excellency.
Thank you very much, Chair. And let me recap this way, honestly. First and foremost, as we mentioned earlier, the whole idea of bringing this kind of event and bringing all the people from Nasarawa State who will be able is to take advantage of the situation. When we brought all these investors, the idea is to see that what is Nasarawa State offering and what is Nasarawa State going to give. So for us, from what you have heard since yesterday, is the fact that we understand what it means to set up a business. We understand what it is actually to have your return on investment. We in Nasarawa State are willing to actually handhold you into establishing your business and ensuring that we do our own part as a government. So our own part as a government is to ensure that we provide, the environment, the atmosphere for you to be able to run your business profitably. And that's why we set up NACIDA. So what NACIDA has always done is to tell you, these are what you need to set up a business in Nasarawa State, and we are willing to do all this for you and actually deliver to you, from your own certificate, to whatever tax benefits you are going to have, to the land area that you need, to the kind of roads that you need. Sometimes we go to the extent of even recommending, where can you set up this business that is going to be very, very profitable to you. And I think that is the idea. But for our own colleagues, and our good people of Nasarawa State, and I'm happy that to see a lot of them here. If you remember, we set up a committee for oil and gas in Nasarawa State, and what we did was to select people who have been from the industry, who understand what it is, and ensure that whatever we are doing in the oil and gas, they can lead the people of Nasarawa State where we can also benefit from it. And there is no better way to benefit from it than what you have just mentioned, Chair, that you have the banks here that are willing to fund the project if the money is the issue. You have the suppliers here. You have those, I was very happy to see the video about Greenville. And then we have Greenville right here in Latvia because they are just going to commission here in that. So if I'm somebody from Nasarawa State, I want to go into the oil and gas, instead of building a petrol station, I would rather go and build a CNG station right now, because by you doing that, then you are opening up the opportunities, for other people, to come and do. But I'm sure by the time the GMD of NMPC delivers his speech, we will be able to get to understand that. But I'm really looking forward, just like we are signing those deals, like we signed the one yesterday with the Lee Group. I want to see somebody from Nasarawa, a local company, signing a deal for us, behind closed doors here. Honorable member of National Assembly, with all the money you have, don't take that money to go and do something. Set up a business here, and the gas companies, and it doesn't take much. It's not too much money that you set up some of these businesses, but more importantly, you have institutions that are willing to fund and to support you. So I thank you very much, Chair. We will provide the atmosphere for the people.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Ladies and gentlemen, personally, I don't think it gets more passionate, sincere, or authentic than what you just heard. The #1 citizen of Nasarawa has told you his government's commitment to supporting you. So we're all looking forward to welcoming you to investing in the oil and gas industry in Nasarawa State. Thank you very much. As we round up, we have just a few minutes left. I will take closing remarks from each of my panelists, starting with Mr. Peter of Afrexim. Thank you. No, the last, Mr. Yes.
Thank you very much. For me, it's been a pleasure traveling from Abuja to Nasarawa today to be part of this very good and revolutionary investment summit. We believe that until the sub-sovereigns, that's at the state level, begin to do such landmark things, true prosperity will not come to the citizens. The state governments are closer to the people, and when they create an economic revolution, the people truly prosper economically. And so we at Afrexim Bank, we recommit ourselves. We are happy to work with different states, private sector investors. With Greenville, for example, we're working with them. I met the lead company who signed the MOU yesterday. We're going to be having meetings with them to see how can Afrexim Bank support. We are providing project preparation facilities, even where a project is still at development stage and still being conceived. The bank is able to offer up to $3 million to pay credible consultants, legal consultants, financial consultants, technical consultants, to ensure that the project is baked and prepared in a manner that it becomes bankable when presented to a financial institution. So with all of this, the time is ripe for Africa, the time is ripe for Nigeria, and importantly, the time is ripe for a state like Nasarawa, considering the proximity to the Federal Capital Territory, to take advantage of a strategic geographical location to prosper its people. It's a pleasure, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Engineer Ahmed, apologies. Engineer Ahmed.
Thank you very much. The NMDPRA, the regulatory framework, is designed, to support industrialization drive like the one that Nasarawa State is taking. We are very proud to be partners. We do that through efficient and effective operation. We also promote, investment while making sure that the midstream and downstream industry, continues to strive. To all the players within the midstream and downstream space, we would like to say that we have regulatory certainty now. The PIA is here. Our regulation have been gazetted, and all the clear regulatory requirements that you need, the NMDPRA is here to support you. We have an NMDPRA office here in Lafia. So if you want to set up any business for your licensing and permits and approvals, we're here to support you. And to the nation, I just want to talk about one thing before please permit me. We're talking about investment. There's a nexus between energy transition, which is our drive to go to net zero, energy security, which is the balance between supply and demand, and also energy investment, because whatever we need money. So energy investment requires, what we're doing in terms of our drive to be greener. It ticks off the ESG requirements. So with that, I'll say well done to Nasarawa State, and the NMDPRA is your partner in progress. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Engineer Ahmed. Mr. Lawal.
Okay. Let me just say that I think it's time for action. I mean, the time for talk is over. The global world is moving ahead, and Nigeria has to be not just part of the conversation, but part of the action. We all know Qatar as a country today. It's industrializing very fast, and arguably the infrastructure base is financed purely by the investment in gas. So I think my word of encouragement for us as a country is that we need to stop just throwing big numbers out there. We talk about 200 million people in terms of our population. We need to start harnessing that in terms of competitive advantage, in terms of how we become a greater country. Number two, we talk about gas, obviously, as a big part of our resource base. Nigeria has over almost 40 billion in reserves of crude, but we have over 200 TCF in gas. Again, big numbers, but I think the kind of thing that Governor Sule is doing here is what gets us action driven, not just words. So whatever G you like, thank you. Whatever G you like in terms of LNG or LPG or whatever G you like, right? Let us get back to the process of investing and driving value, not just for the states, but also for our people. Because at the end of the day, I used Qatar as an example earlier. All the infrastructure was driven primarily based on investment in LNG at a higher scale. The world needs gas. I don't think we can just go with the narrative that we should abandon the resource base that we enrich with without security of energy. So gas is big, but we have to get on with it and ensure that enabling environment is there, because at the end of the day, it will always take a combination of the public and private sector to work. I thank you again for having me.
And very well said, Mr. Lawal. Thank you. Mr. Shen, your closing remarks, please.
Yeah, I have just 3 points. One is, of course, enabling environment, which his leadership has confirmed, and we have Nasida to knock the doors. 2 is a concern for all of us. We at Power Gas so far have been dealing with corporate clients. For us, HSE and safety and ESG is very critical. So I would request regulatory framework, NMDPR, to play a strict role now that we are going into NGV, and NGV means cars with all. So we need some system which works, and the health and safety and regulatory for NMDPR is critical. On the third one, the finance, yes, we all need money, but I'm a little optimist. There's still a lot of infrastructure fund for smaller projects available in Nigeria. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And with that, our time is up. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been our honor and privilege to have this conversation and interact with you this morning. Thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of the conference. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Can we give them a rousing round of applause? And the photo up, please, for the panel. Thank you so much for such a very illuminating session. We were all really engrossed, and the chair, ventilated this session with. Thank you so very much. In this session, you have heard how Nasarawa State has been complimented for leadership, consistency, and how, of course, the policy environment of Nasarawa State, especially when it comes to ease of doing business, has also been noted and applauded and appreciated. According to the panel, they say that it is the steps being taken by His Excellency's administration, Engineer Abdullahi A. Sulei's administration, that is catapulting and making investors action-driven whenever it comes to Nasarawa State. So thank you for your kind, very constructive words about the investment revolution. Can we give them a rousing round of applause, please? Thank you. Thank you. We would like to let you know that while the session was going on, the panel discussion was going on, we had our team from the NNPCL arrive, and would like to formally recognize their presence. Would like to thank you for making the time. Thank you, thank you. Today's energy, gas, entire session actually for the day is really been anchored on the support of the NNPCL. Our Chinese investor who spoke very eloquent English, and you gave him some very warm applause, is again being appreciated for all the very kind words he said and the very big investment that is coming to Nasarawa State. Thank you. Thank you very much. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, a highly esteemed team from the NNPC. The 19th Group Managing Director of the NNPC, who was at one time Nigeria's representative at OPEC, Malam Mele Kyari, is unavoidably absent, but he's here ably represented by none other than the Executive Vice President, Gas, Power and New Energy, Olalekan Ogunleye. Can we please make welcome, give him a very warm applause and thank you so very much. He's representing the group CEO of NLPC Limited, Madam Mele Kyari. And in his company, we have Dr. Salihu Jamari, the Chief Investment Officer, Gas and Power Investment of the NNPC. Would like to welcome you, sir, for coming. And of course, Mr. Kanayo Odo. He's the Managing Director of NNPC New Energy Limited. And we also have Saadu Garba, who is the business advisor. Would like to welcome you. At this point, it's my singular honor and privilege, therefore, to call for the keynote to be delivered by Olalekan Ogunleye, the Executive Vice President, Gas, Power and New Energy, representing the Group CEO of NNPC, Mele Kyari. Make welcome Olalekan Ogunleye to come present the keynote. You're most warmly welcome to Nasarawa State, sir.
His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Nasarawa State, Engineer Abdullahi Audu Sule, His Royal Majesty, the Emir of Lafia, distinguished investors and participants in the energy sector, Your Excellency, I crave your indulgence to abide by existing protocol for reasons of exigencies of time. And even though my task is to deliver the keynote address on behalf of the Group Chief Executive of NNPC, Your Excellency and distinguished guests, I crave your indulgence to just make two brief remarks before I go into my keynote address. The first is just to convey the apologies of the Chief Executive Officers of NNPC, Malam Mele Kyari. He had actually planned to be here, he had prepared to be here, and I have to take personal responsibility for his not being here today, because at some point yesterday, in the course of the presidential commissioning of 3 gas infrastructure projects, something came up that required him to stay back in Abuja, and he actually struggled. He was in a dilemma, and I was very instrumental in encouraging him to stay back and that I will represent him. So, apologies, Your Excellency. I'm responsible for that, for his not being here today. However, Your Excellency, as you know, and not just you, I think the people of Nasarawa State know that NNPC's relationship with Nasarawa State government, with the people of Nasarawa State, is deep and entrenched. And there are many reasons for this. It's not because His Excellency in his former life is a private sector participant and an energy leader. That's helpful, that's nice. It goes beyond that. It's not because Nasarawa State is endowed with abundant mineral resources and energy resources. We all like that, and I think everybody gets that by now. It's because of three specific reasons. The first is vision. The second is effectiveness. And the third is sustainability. And I'll start with the first. So today, if you ask me, as a non-indigene, that what's going on in Nasarawa State, I know that there is a clear vision. I know that Nasarawa State has a leader, has a government that has decided to take what I can call the difficult way to organically build an economy on a sustainable model. There were other options, of course. I don't want to go into those details. And the governor has done this at a personal cost. He took the hard road, made the difficult decision. So today, if you ask me, it is clear that Nasarawa State has become a hub for not just the mineral resources, because we know the mineral resources are there. Nasarawa State has become a hub for agriculture, and Nasarawa State has become a hub for energy. And you know, to build is difficult. On the 25th of November 2020, we were here for the gas forum. It was the first Nasarawa State gas forum. So it didn't just start today. It took vision. So in NMPC, we have this same affinity. Under the leadership of the GCO, NMPC has completely reimagined its business. Our focus now is on effectiveness. It's on getting it done. And we see instances and demonstrations of that in Nasarawa State. So we had the gas forum, and then we had the first Nasarawa investment forum. But today, the whole world is seeing the fruits of those initiatives. We have 2 major lithium plants in Nasarawa State today. Nasarawa State is becoming a hub for CNG. Nasarawa State has become an agricultural hub in Nigeria. It's about employment. It's about value creation. And so, in NMPC, we like to say that we've abandoned the PowerPoints. You go to a lot of forums, conferences, summits, people make nice speeches, they dissect the problem. You know, some people are specialists in identifying the problem. But in Nasarawa State and in NMPC, our focus is on walking the talk, on delivery, on effectiveness, on performance. I want to congratulate the president. I'm not nominating you for presidency, the executive governor and the people of Nasarawa State for the vision, but not just the vision, but for acting on that vision. The third thing is sustainability. It's about future-proofing the state. And so we are at a point today where there is general confidence and comfort that Nasarawa State development is organic. And so it's not by accident that in the course of today, the gas master plan for Nasarawa State is one of the major agendas on the table. In some other states, it's sporadic, but the government gets it. So they've decided, again, to take a structured approach to development. So it's about sustainability and future-proofing the business. My third point is just to acknowledge the people of Nasarawa State. Because we must never forget, governance, leadership even business, it's about the people. And I'm not doing this just for selfish reasons, because my beloved mother-in-law is from Nasarawa State. I'm doing it because in Nasarawa State, we see the energy, we see the passion, we have the resources, and now there's that great convergence. So, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it's a privilege to be here, and I just want to thank this extraordinary audience, and I request that you give a clap for yourself. Thank you very much. It is a great honor to address this esteemed gathering at the second edition of the Nasarawa State Investment Summit. Today, we come together to devise effective strategies to unlock the great opportunities in the energy sector in Nasarawa State, paving the way to unlock the great opportunities in the energy sector in Nasarawa State, and creating sustainable economic growth and development in the state and by extension, Nigeria. Undoubtedly, Nasarawa State is blessed with substantial natural gas reserves, a valuable resource with the potential to power industries, drive economic growth, and improve the lives of its citizens. The development of the gas sector presents a unique opportunity to leverage clean energy solutions, reduce greenhouse gas emissions, and enhance energy security for the well-endowed state and indeed the nation. NNPC Limited is fully committed to partnering with the government of Nasarawa State and other private sector participants to leverage the virtually unlimited capacity of gas to drive economic growth. This we have shown by actively engaging in frontier exploration in Kiana, which led to achieving the spudding of the Ebenyi well in March 2023. Through strategic value-yielding investments in Nasarawa State, applying technological innovations and sustainable practices, we aim to catalyze the development of Nasarawa State's energy resources, thereby generating inclusive growth and prosperity for all. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, no doubt the energy transition, which is driven by the urgent need to mitigate climate change and reduce emissions, is fundamentally reshaping the way we produce and consume energy. Clearly, energy sources such as solar, wind, hydroelectric power are increasingly becoming central to the global energy mix, promising cleaner and more sustainable alternatives to traditional fossil fuels. It is, however, essential to acknowledge and note that the transition to a low-carbon economy is not possible without the foundational support of the mining sector. And this is how Nasarawa State becomes very critical, even in the clean energy conversations. Minerals such as lithium, cobalt, nickel, and rare earth elements are essential components of renewable energy technologies, including batteries for electric cars and storage systems for renewable power generation. Therefore, as the world transitions towards a cleaner and more sustainable energy future, the demand for these critical minerals will soar exponentially. And this translates to incremental value to states like Nasarawa State that have correctly positioned themselves to benefit from these opportunities. The unfolding collaboration between NNPC, GSCN, and Nasarawa State is based on sound premises such as mutual commitment to leveraging gas to create prosperity for our people, adherence to best-in-class business practices, application of cutting-edge technology and innovation. We acknowledge and commend the efforts of the government of Nasarawa State to create and entrench sustainable development in this state. NMPC, through its subsidiary company NGML and the GACN, is committed to stepping up on gas sector collaborations and initiatives that will ensure the earliest realization of gas fuel prosperity for Nasarawa State. We aim to expand access to clean and affordable energy, stimulating industrialization and creating employment opportunities for the good people of Nasarawa State. So, Your Excellency and distinguished guests, it's not just by accident that I'm attending with the Chief Investment Officer of NMPC Gas and Power Investment Services and the Managing Director of NMPC New Energy Company Limited. So we are completely positioned to support the economic renaissance of this great state. In conclusion, this second Nasarawa State Investment Summit provides a platform for collaboration, innovation, and progress in the mining, gas development, and gas distribution sectors. NMPC is therefore proud to be a partner in this journey, and we remain committed to working hand in hand with the government and people of Nasarawa State to unlock the full potential of the state's natural resources for the benefit of the people of Nasarawa State and indeed our great country, Nigeria. Your Excellency, distinguished guests, and the great people of Nasarawa State, please allow me to conclude this keynote address by adopting and using Mr. President's clarion call to all gas sector participants to ramp up efforts to accelerate investment and development of projects in the gas sector on a win-win basis. I would like to sign off by using the mantra of Mr. President, from gas to prosperity, renewed hope. Renewed hope for the people of Nasarawa State. Thank you, Your Excellency. Thank you, distinguished gentlemen. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Can we give him a rousing round of applause?
From the AKK pipeline into Nasarawa State, with the overarching goal of catalyzing gas utilization and industrialization across the region. In collaboration with the Nasarawa State Government, NASIDA, Exela, and other key stakeholders, the Gas Aggregator Company of Nigeria, GACN, is spearheading the development of this strategic plan. It serves as a comprehensive framework and distribution architecture, laying the foundation for the efficient utilization of gas resources within the state. At its core, the Nasarawa State Gas Master Plan aims to establish city gates, gas distribution network, critical industrial cluster, and industrial manufacturing parks that will unlock the full potential of gas as a catalyst for economic growth and development, enhancing the gas infrastructure network within Nasarawa State, and encouraging the adoption of captive power generation solutions to ensure seamless connectivity and reliable supply to industrial clusters and end users. As part of this transformative initiative, several projects have been identified as key components of the Gas Master Plan. These projects are meticulously designed to prioritizing critical industrial clusters like the Gudi Industrial Hub, where the promotion of captive power generation and industrialization will be paramount. Some of the ongoing gas projects in Nasarawa State include Gudi Industrial Hub Phase 1. Special Agro-Industrial Processing Zone located in Gudi is a 406-hectare agro-industrial park aimed at positioning Nasarawa State as an agricultural hub. The hub will host 4 parks: the Special Agro-Processing Zone, SAPZ, Light Manufacturing Park, Inland Logistic Park, and Mineral Processing Zone. Premium Nigerian Marble and Granite, located at Mada Gudi, is a production of granite tiles and slabs for the building and construction industry. Existing manufacturing of premium Nigerian marble and granite products Asgard Mineral Processing Limited. Located in Gora, the Asgard processing plant is a 120 tons D input of spodumene, which processes it into concentrate form. Development of 100% private sector-owned mineral processing plant. Olam Group, located in Rukubi. The project is an integrated rice farm and has 4,400 ha cultivated area, which is cropped twice in a year. The processing plant has a capacity of 500 mt per day for rice and 100 mt per hour for rice bran oil extraction capacity. NGF Farm, located in Kokuna, LGA. The project includes but not limited to crop cultivation, cash crop plantation, food processing, livestock management, fishery, poultry, agro-tourism, and others. We welcome stakeholders and investors to join us in our mission to transform Nasarawa State into a hub for gas utilization.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you. Can we give them a rousing round of applause? That is the video about the gas master plan, the gas infrastructure, using it to just burr up the economy and also help the industries site themselves properly where they are. I would like to convey His Excellency's heartfelt apologies. Would like to apologize that the entire summit will soon be coming to an end. We have one last session, and the session would last exactly 20 minutes. We have one last session for 20 minutes. But before we get to that,